Okay. Thank you. Well, thank you, everyone. Welcome to our first meeting in this new amazing Zoom format. I'm super excited today because I'm introducing Dr. Sherill Sellman, who I met, it's got to be 25 years ago. And I can tell you that she has hardly changed. She has hardly aged in 25 years. 25 years I've known her. She still looks amazing, and she obviously knows some things. She's gone through challenges herself. She's gone through some pretty serious health challenges, and has been her own guinea pig, and just done incredible work. The knowledge that she has gleaned in terms of hormones and women and aging is incredible, and I'm really excited to encourage you all to actually get to one of her talks if you possibly can, and if you're not in Australia for the next few weeks, I'm really encouraging you to also check out Cheryl's website, and she has some free reports, and just get onto her. She does it's a weekly radio, a
weekly internet radio show, so people can listen to it anywhere in the world.
Yes, and she's always got inspiring experts in lots of health and well-being and rejuvenation fields. So it's very, very worth your while tapping into her wisdom about health and well-being. But yeah, so today's session is really introducing Cheryl's tour around Australia called The Rejuvenated Woman. So this is basically, she's going to be sharing her wisdom around aging, and that it doesn't have to be what we expect aging is. It doesn't have to be raging hormones and hot sweats and crazy thoughts and feelings and all of the things that we come to expect when we're hitting menopause and perimenopause. So Sherill has actually cracked the code of aging. And that it doesn't mean deteriorating health. It actually is, it can be an extremely powerful time for us. So Sherill, can you tell us briefly why, how you came to learn all this and discover this, and just give us the overview of your quick story?
Well, first of all, Narelle, thank you for organizing this opportunity to share with people all over the world. It's so much fun, and to see people really feels like we're all together in one big lounge room having a chat, which is wonderful. And to answer your question, my journey began out of my own health challenges. So in a sense, I was aging very young because I was dealing with arthritis. And in my early 40s, I had arthritis, and I had severe allergies, hay fever, I had insomnia, I had hormonal imbalances, I had depression, I had gut issues. I mean, really, when I look back on that time, I was really suffering. I didn't know it. So often we put up with things and we go, I'm fine, which is what I said. But when I dissected everything that was going on, this is not normal. This is not as it should be. And that really began a journey, and especially when the night sweats came along, and I was getting up in the middle of the night every night around 3 a.m. And there were things that really drove me to look at the hormonal side of things. And as I was able to discover what was driving those symptoms, which, by the way, took me quite a while, and the night sweats were really a big clue for hormones, I discovered that as I addressed the hormonal imbalances, all the other symptoms disappeared. So at this stage of my life, I actually don't have any of those issues. In fact, I don't really have any health issues at all. So in a sense, you can say I'm healthier and younger now than I was many decades ago when I was struggling, which is really what we're going to be talking about, how we can get younger and healthier as we move along in this time-space continuum.
Yeah, yeah. So thank you. That's awesome, Cheryl. So there's lots of medical conditions that we assume are just part and parcel of aging, like arthritis and hormone imbalances and osteoporosis and brain-related degenerative diseases and stroke and all of those things that our society assumes are a part and parcel of aging. But that's not the case, is it?
No, I mean, I, in some ways, have some radical ways of looking at things. Even when I was lecturing and focusing more on hormones, I had some radical ideas because we have a lot of beliefs that we've inherited from our culture that determine and shape our biology. And this is a key concept that I will be exploring more in my workshops and lectures. So beliefs mold our biology. And what we've been taught and how our culture imparts it or our families impart it determine what happens to our body. So our body follows these belief systems. And when I was investigating the hormonal side of things, I discovered that the belief systems that our culture has for us is that as you get older, you're going to deteriorate, your ovaries are going to stop functioning, which then becomes a downhill slide, and everything starts to go. That's a very strong cultural belief, and our biology follows it, but it's not the truth. The truth of the matter is that our ovaries don't die. We can rejuvenate our hormonal essences at any time. And we can become very vital and energized at any point in our life cycle. And by the way, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. And, there are a lot of young people who are aging before their time. When you have 10-year-olds with diabetes, you know that you have accelerated aging in a 10-year-old. And when you have young girls who are getting strokes, from the pill or whatever, their body is aging before their time. So aging isn't necessarily about a demarcation of our life cycle. It's the body's ability to function optimally or be challenged. And I don't believe that there's any condition that is inevitable with aging. I think that we have the capacity to really rejuvenate and regenerate. And as an example, just recently, I think on a current affair show here, they did a study in Griffith University, and they took 75 and 85-year-old women with osteoporosis, and they had the dowager hump, so their spine was deteriorating, and so was their mental condition. And they got them on a heavy weight training program. I mean, we're not talking light weights. We're talking they built up to heavy weights, deadlifting some of the women their own weight. And guess what happened? Their bones regenerated. They healed their osteoporosis. Their backs straightened up. But most importantly, their whole attitude and thinking process transformed. So if you can do that when you're 75 and 85, it shows us the possibility, if we understand what pieces have to be addressed to allow us to access this phenomenal potential that our body holds to regenerate and rebuild any point in time.
That's awesome, Cheryl. So it sounds like you're looking at addressing the social, the psychological, the cultural expectations around aging. Is this actually a big part of what you're discovering, or is it part of what you're discovering?
It absolutely is a big part of it. We're a mind-body system. You can't separate what's going on in the physical and what's happening with your thoughts and with your emotions and how you access that spiritual dynamic of ourselves. So this, what I call unlocking the code to an ageless body requires us to understand what our physical body needs, what are the underlying factors that need attention. You know, we have something called our chronological age. So our chronological age is the number of years we've been on this planet, and you can't change that. But then we have the biological age, and our biological age is very pliable. Our biological age is determined by how well we are functioning, how well the processes in our body are functioning. And we have huge impact on that through understanding the root cause issues that support optimal physiological functioning, also understanding the role of our emotions, the role of our belief systems, or we can call it our mind, and how to access the power that brings us back into the moment where all things are possible. Yeah, I gave a lecture the other night in Melbourne, and there was a couple who attended, and they had attended a couple of years ago one of my lectures and have been following through. And they're in their early 80s, and Phil had Guillain-Barré syndrome, which is incurable. We've been told it's incurable. He had some other autoimmune conditions that had him with total muscle weakness in a wheelchair. And he came to one of my events, started to change his whole way of perceiving possibilities, and then followed up with a good holistic medical practitioner, a good chiropractor. And I saw him the other night. He is standing straight. He's out of a wheelchair. He has no symptoms whatsoever. And they've embraced this concept that I would call centenarian consciousness. He and his wife, they are vital. They operate out of these belief systems. All their friends are telling them, you're crazy. You're supposed to get old. We're all in pain. We're all taking our medications. How come you're not? Something's wrong with you. And they refuse to understand and appreciate and learn from what this couple is experiencing. They were such heroes of mine because they went from incurable conditions to being more vital and healthy now than they've ever been. And that's the potential we all have. Doesn't matter what the conditions are, doesn't matter what we've been told, doesn't matter what our doctors have said to us, doesn't matter how our culture has programmed us. It's possible when we can access the keys within ourselves to reverse, transform, heal, rejuvenate, regenerate anything.
Wow.
At any age.
So far out. It's a huge, like, so what are you going to be sharing with people? What are the key areas that you're going to be, the tips that you're going to be giving people to start them on their journey of aging younger?
Well, first of all, for many, many years now, I was a psychotherapist working with mind-body approaches to healing and changing and transforming. And then out of my health journey, I became a naturopath. So for many years now, I've been very blessed to be on the leading edge and finding solutions for all the health challenges that people have. So I have huge treasure chest of resources, and then combined with the focus that I have been addressing, which is this whole fascinating area of rejuvenation, of how we can heal, of how we can learn skills and techniques that actually put us into a timeless moment where we can reprogram our body and create that biological age that we want to be. So it's an integrative approach, and if you want to know what are the biggest tips, if I can give just some tips to everyone today about what does it take to create a rejuvenated body, I've actually put some thoughts together, and I'll go share with you what I came up with. So the first thing I would say in creating and healing your body, the very first thing is to bring joy into your life. So joy is an energy, an experience, an emotion that supports healing and rejuvenation. So we have to find things that bring us joy. We're a culture that gets obsessive about working and striving and getting stressed out. which is the most aging thing we could ever do. What are we doing it for? What's the point? If you don't have your health, and if you don't have your vitality, if you don't have your body giving you the capacity to enjoy life, what's the point? And I've talked to so many people. They're at a stage of their life, they've worked really hard, they've sacrificed, they've gone after the money, and now their health is failing. What's the point, right? So joy. So one of the things that I started to do, because I was needing to bring more joy into my life, because I get to be a workaholic at times with the best of them, is a swing dancing. So I started doing swing dancing and Lindy Hop dancing. And I don't know if they have it at the Gold Coast, Narelle, but I'd love to find it to see if it's there when we're up doing our event, because that to me brings me joy. I mean, everyone has to find what brings them joy, but the more you can bring joy into your experience, you're generating endorphins, you're altering your gene expression, you are literally rewiring your genetic code. And I do a lot with nutrigenomic testing, so I am really into the power of how our thoughts and emotions can alter our genes and access our longevity genes. So I would say joy is number one. Maybe isn't what people think, but it's what, to me is important. Number two, it's the attitude of gratitude. There are studies that have shown gratitude can alter brain structure. Gratitude can turn on these longevity genes that we've been talking about. It will change the way your body heals with gratitude. And we need to practice that on a daily basis. It's a really profound process. Number three, I would say it would be mindfulness meditations, how to practice mindfulness. And, mindfulness meditation has actually had so much research behind it now. They've done lots of brain scans. A recent study found that in just 8 weeks of mindful meditation, the brain structure and function has changed. It's literally rewired. So when you rewire your brain, you're able to access more creativity, more feelings of self-worth, more joy, more, capacity to just enjoy and be in the present time. 8 weeks of just being aware, mindful, which, by the way, I have some amazing experiences and processes I'll be sharing with people in my programs, how to do that. The fourth thing I have is there's some key parameters for health that need to be monitored in each person. And I would say the number one thing to monitor would be your vitamin D level. So this is on a very practical, physical level. Everyone needs to get their vitamin D test done. You can do it in Canada, you can do it in Australia, you can do it in the US. If you have to purchase the test, there are places online where you can just purchase the test, or you can go to your health provider and get that blood test done. It used to be part of a general workup. I think Australia now is eliminating the vitamin D test because they assume everyone is low, which is the most insane thing I've ever heard. Yes, everyone is low. And unless we know the number, we can't really access the capacity of vitamin D as a hormone, by the way. And the vitamin D can turn on up to 2,000 genes that optimizes health, as well as I just read a study, it helps reduce risk of dementia, of insulin resistance. So it helps with weight. It helps with preventing cancers. It helps with your bone. It helps prevent inflammatory conditions. Vitamin D is one of the most powerful healing, I would say rejuvenating hormones, but you need to know the number, and it needs to be at the high end of the reference range. You can't just accept average. It won't have the same effect. And the second thing I believe everyone should be assessing is the health of their adrenal glands. And that actually is done with a saliva test. And generally, there are some labs you can do it on your own, but you need someone who can interpret it and then put you on a program, because the adrenal glands are really your glands that determine how well you age or not. So without strong, healthy adrenal glands, and stress depletes the adrenals, and as we move through our chronological age journey, the tendency is to get more depleted unless we intervene, which is the whole point. we can intervene and alter these tendencies. But the adrenals will rule your immune system. It affects your sleep, your memory, your skin, your digestion, your bone health. Everything is impacted by the adrenals. So having an adrenal hormone test gives you a picture of what's going on, and then you can monitor it and put together a protocol. So those are just like two simple things that have huge ramifications. And the last thing I would say that's a rejuvenation strategy is sleep. So this is something that we often don't think about, and we are in, I mean, all cultures, all Western cultures are insomniac cultures. So if you don't sleep a good solid 7 to 8 hours sleep, and by the way, sleep meds do not let you have deep sleep. They don't let you get into a deep sleep cycle. So you can't rejuvenate and detoxify your brain if you're not in a deep sleep cycle. So sleep is critical. And, you know, I have some interesting research and slides that I show in my presentations of the brain of someone who does not get full 7 hours sleep and how it predisposes them to Alzheimer's, because you can't detoxify the brain without the sleep. That's part of what happens when we sleep. But also, if you're not sleeping those full hours, 7 to 8 hours, the hormones go out of balance. You have more carb cravings. It's a big problem with weight. It's driven by lack of sleep, which causes people to crave carbohydrates more, which is the last thing you want if you want a healthy body. So it's doing whatever you need to do. And we'll talk about the strategies. You know, I had insomnia. I was waking up at 3 a.m. every morning. I know what it's like when you have anxiety attacks and your mind is going and you can't sleep. So, you know, we'll explore what drives that imbalance and how we can correct it, and some of the strategies that have been really successful in getting people to have deep rejuvenating sleep. So that's kind of my top 5 picks of strategies for rejuvenation. It is a mind-body solution. It's not about having a specific diet. If these underlying dynamics are not in place, you can be eating the best diet in the world, at least, you know, you think is a good diet, but it's not going to be translated into nourishing the cells, rejuvenating the cells, communicating to your genes. You're not going to get that benefit. So we need to really understand all these pieces and put them together. And when we do, we can create anything, and we can live vital, healthy lives to 100 or more, but with everything intact, you know, with our functioning intact. And if we can live fully, you know, satisfying, purposeful lives until we take our last breath, as I like to say, die healthy, then we're really living life as it should be lived. And we need to learn how to do that because we've strayed very far from this knowledge and wisdom. That's what we'll be sharing.
That sounds incredible, Cheryl. Sounds fantastic. So with people who are like in the different locations at your talks, are you going to be able to share strategies that they can access? Like, are these going to be the tests, for example? Is that something that they can do online, or find people online, or do they have to find a specific health practitioner locally? Are you going to be able to recommend local practitioners, or can you do it for them online?
Yes. So all the above. You know, there are local people who can do this. I can certainly assist. You know, I have a virtual practice, so I work with people all over the world. So I certainly can support people and organize tests to go anywhere in the world. And in the programs, in the lectures, as well as in the workshops, I'll be sharing practical skills. Obviously, if I have more time with people, which is why I like the workshop format, I can provide a lot more. We can do a lot more. We can share a lot more. And one other thing I want to say, as far as a rejuvenation strategy and a way to support people to impart and practice and maintain these strategies, is the role of community, which is why, Narelle, what you're doing with your community is it's a really vital piece of ensuring success for people. When people are in community, they are able to support each other, encourage each other, and everyone wins, really. And it's a lot harder when we are on our own. So every time we create community, which, by the way, I am creating an online Facebook group that will allow all of us to practice more of these things and share with each other. I just come to understand how powerful community is. I interviewed a very interesting man on my radio show. His name is Dr. Michael Roizen. Some of you may have heard of him because he's the partner to Dr. Oz. Mm-hmm. And he is also the director at this very amazing hospital in the United States called the Cleveland Clinic, where they've put together alternative integrative programs. And Michael Roizen is like the head of that. And he was saying that he wants everyone to do 10,000 steps a day. You know, everyone's phone right now has a pedometer on it. Everyone could be monitoring their steps. So Dr. Roizen says everyone should be doing 10,000 steps a day. That's the point where your metabolism kicks in and a lot of changes happen. And what he did is he had 40,000 of his employees, by the way, 40,000 are at the Cleveland Clinic, and he had them all participate, but they do it with buddies. And as a result, they just walk through the halls. He said he has walking meetings. He's walking all the time. And people have, so it's this culture now of health and putting these strategies into effect. And just by creating this support community of walking 10,000 steps a day, overall, the employees have lost over 400,000 pounds.
Wow.
You know, so we're all kind of supporting each other. And when we have the right keys to the code, as I like to say, we can really get the results we want. That we all have bits and pieces, but most of us don't know how to put it all together in a way that's really going to be effective. So that's what I mean by the code. You have to have it in a context, and you have to have all the pieces in place in order to get the greatest results, in order to get the greatest healing, in order to really support the body and turning on your longevity genes and reversing these chronic conditions. All these chronic conditions can be reversed. Our body is phenomenal, but we need to have the code. So, I'll be sharing the code as I have found it and what I've been researching and gathering. And there's some phenomenal research and some phenomenal practical tools that can rapidly bring about change and transformation.
Well, it sounds incredible, Sherill, and thank you so much for sharing those tidbits with us today. But I'd like, if it's okay with you, I'd like to open up the floor to questions from the other participants.
Wonderful.
Okay, so if anyone has a question, just unmute your bottom left audio mic and please go ahead if anyone has any questions or comments, feedback,
anything. But it's really hard for me to give personal health advice. I just appreciate that.
Yeah, understand. Yeah.
Well, are you guys excited? Does this ring a bell for you?
Yes. I have a question.
Go ahead, Carol.
Can you hear me? Okay. So I've been dealing with this tendonitis issue in my left shoulder for several months. I've gone to specialists, whatnot. Tomorrow's finally the day that I'm going into the hospital to just have a cortisone shot put in my arm as a last resort, just because the pain has been quite bad. I'm also wondering if sugar. I know we all know sugar's bad for us. We all know that now, how bad sugar is for us. But does sugar aggravate? Because you mentioned arthritis and things, and I'm starting to feel a little stiffness here and there. I'll be 53 next month. That's my chronological age. I'm just wondering if eating sugar, does it aggravate it? Does it make it go fat?
So the answer which I know you're expecting me to say, is yes. Of course it does.
Yeah.
Sugar is one of the most pro-inflammatory substances you can consume. It creates inflammation. It expands inflammation. I mean, it's acidic, so we get more acidified, which degenerates our cells and creates inflammation. It depletes the body of all the key vitamins and minerals. So it's, it's a toxic substance that is driving aging. So these little aches and pains, you have issues going on. It's kind of focused and getting your attention here. But I'm going to tell you, a cortisone shot is not the answer. It's a temporary measure with consequences. And, it's a message for you. What do you need to clean up? What do there's more work you need to do. It's like a wake-up call, isn't it?
Yes.
And you've got to take it to the next level.
I strongly believe that. Yes, I do. I believe I know that it's something more going on, just a symptom of something else.
And it's obviously not about aging. You now know that aches and joints is not about aging. But when I had all my health challenges, I spent a while just trying to take this and try that. It just never. I didn't get the whole story. And when I was able to really dig deeper and put the root cause issues together, that's when all those symptoms have disappeared. And if I notice anything creeping in, I'm on it. You know what I mean? I'll do whatever it takes. And I have a lot of resources. And, so I recently had my biological age tested. And it was about 20 years younger than my chronological age. So, I even had my carotid artery tested about 6 months ago. And that was, the health of the 19th percentile, it's like, it's clear. I mean, so it's great validation for me, but it's an inspiration for everyone else. It doesn't matter where you are. You can turn it all around. Your body is very pliable. It responds to every thought, every source of nutrition and healing energies that you give it.
Yeah, it really does.
But we need to be trained. We need to have specific strategies, a specific plan and guidance and mentored, because often we just don't know what to do on our own. We only know what we know,
Yeah. Thank you.
Cheryl, we've had a question from Dr. Venus, which is, what is the best source of vitamin D according to you?
Well, according to me, the best vitamin D is what is called a micellized vitamin D. Vitamin D is a fat-soluble vitamin or hormone. It's really a hormone. It's fat-soluble. So that means that it can be difficult to absorb it if you've got digestive issues, if you've got chronic inflammation in the gut. In fact, if you're overweight, your fat cells hold it. It doesn't really make it into this receptor sites, the cells, to activate all the processes. So I like a micellized D, which means it's very bioavailable. And when I've given it to patients who've tried and tried and tried to get their vitamin D levels up without success, it was able to rapidly get those numbers to where we wanted them to be. So I have it available in my online store in the US, which the website is whatwomenmustknow.com. So people can order it there. And I have it down here in Australia and will be putting it on my online store at drSherillSellman.com in the next day or so people can order it from down here. But that, in my opinion, is the most effective vitamin D I found. And, it's like anything. There are many choices out there, but it's all those distinctions that really make the difference. But here's the thing. You've got to get your vitamin D test done, because you don't know if you're hitting the bullseye without a number. So you can't just say I'm taking 10,000 units and I'm good. because I can tell you, based on the genomic testing I do, the vast majority of people have impaired genes, their gene expressions, their software glitches that they came in with impair their ability to utilize vitamin D. So just taking it, even though you may be taking a significant amount, doesn't mean you're getting the results. You've got to get that blood test done and look at the number. And then from there you can, increase the dose if need be, and then retest in about 6 months' time.
Yep, that's great. Okay, there was another question. What's the difference between vitamin D3 and the micellized type?
Well, it's just the delivery system. Micellized is it's made into very small little droplets, which makes it water soluble. It's normally, remember, vitamin D is an oil. Oil and water don't mix. So the micellized process is enabling you to get the vitamin D in a water base that is much more easily taken up by the body. Yeah. So it's just a way that they've been able to process the vitamin D to make it more absorbable.
Yeah, well, micellar from a cosmetic science perspective is actually combining something with a phospholipid. So it creates an oil soluble and water soluble head. So it's certainly more conducive to cellular uptake.
Perfect, lovely, thank you, Narelle. That's a great way to explain it. Yeah, so it makes it more bioavailable.
Yeah,
to the cells.
Okay, so there was a question about sugar. What about whole organic sugar, unrefined sugar?
Okay, so here's the best way for everyone to understand this. There are two molecular structures to sugar. There is a 6-carbon and a 5-carbon structure. So those sugars that, I think I've got it right, are 6-carbon are all sugars. Organic sugar, brown sugar, rice syrup, molasses, agave. They're all these 6-carbon sugars. They're all the kind that actually will acidify the body, will feed candida, will create more insulin response. They're the ones that are really harmful because they're spiking our blood sugar and they're robbing our body of vitamins. It doesn't matter whether it's organic, doesn't matter if it's brown, it's this molecular structure. The other structure, 5-carbon sugars, are ones that act in a very different way. Those are xylitol, stevia, there's a sweetener called lohan, and there may be a couple others coming out. Erythritol is another one. So these are sugars that act very differently. They have a fraction of the calories. They don't spike your blood sugar. They actually alkaline the body. They won't feed candida or cancer cells, by the way. Sugar feeds cancer cells. So these, and they can, these xylitol products, which I've studied quite a lot, have been used to prevent dental cavities and prevent periodontal diseases, and it's great for diabetics. There are a lot of benefits. So we need to use the right sweeteners. We can find, we don't have to give up sweeteners, but we have to understand that unless there are these 5-carbon sugar forms like xylitol and stevia and lohan, you're putting the end product is something that's toxic to the body, spiking blood sugar, acidifying the body. Best to be avoided. Best to be avoided.
Yeah. And Karen has asked. She said she's downloaded your Hormone Heresy book, and she's wondering what's going to be different in your lectures from the information in the Hormone Heresy book.
Well, everything. It's all new information. We've gone. We're nowhere. At least where I haven't gone before. It's a whole. It's not just focusing on hormones. I'll be happy to give some of the keys that we need to know. But there's so much more that I've put together since writing that book. Even the latest version, which was published 2 years ago in Australia, we're just going to explore beyond that. there's always new information that I've been accessing and learning and incorporating in my life. So there's going to be a lot more stuff, a lot more of profound experiences and information.
Yeah.
And I just want to say, and like in our event, Narelle, we'll always have a space for people to ask questions, which I find really useful, so people can get that kind of support. So, it's a community. We're going to be sharing and learning together.
Sounds great. Yeah, so it's not just about getting through menopause unscathed. It's about the aging process and not aging younger. Aging younger.
Yeah. It's about the principles to rejuvenate and regenerate ourselves at any age. And I will talk about hormones, because hormones, and we're not just talking about estrogen, progesterone, and testosterone. We're talking about thyroid hormones, talking about cortisol hormones, talking about insulin. I mean, there are, literally hundreds of hormones in the body. So to understand hormones, we have to put all those pieces together, which is far bigger story than just looking at a few of our steroid hormones that we are familiar with. But, there's a big story here. And that's what really has fascinated me. And that's what's helped me to, what I like to call, rejuvenate my hormonal essences. I don't believe we need to be on HRT or even bioidentical hormones to have youthfulness. And we certainly don't want to rely on the pill to get our bodies healthy and balanced, because that's the biggest lie there is. No. So, there's just, there's lots of ways and places for us to go. So it depends on the group, and also, making sure that I have a chance to share some of the information, research, and strategies and some practical experiences that really will make a difference for people.
Sounds
and inspire
awesome.
Everyone.
Yes.
We can make these things happen for ourselves.
Yeah. So people coming along to the talk in a couple of weeks are going to be armed with some really life transformative information, and also given some pointers as to where to go and how, why, what, and given some resources. So
that's just so important, Narelle. It's great to share information with people, but I like to give them practical steps that they can take away and start implementing in their lives. Because information is good, but without practical steps, it's not going to take us anywhere, or at least not as far as we can go if we had some direction. So I'm very Taurian. I have a practical nature, so I want to give people practical steps that they can implement.
That's fantastic. That's absolutely perfect, Sherill. Thank you so much. Really appreciate your time this morning, sharing the information that you have. And I just want to say, oh, hello. Hi, baby. So thank you very much for everyone joining the call or the meeting today. I hope you got some information, some relevant information. Now, just hang on. Before we go, I just want to check. Did everyone get the websites? What Women Must Know? Can everyone see that in the notes?
Well, let me just say that the whatwomenmustknow.com is the website that is out of the US. But if people want to know about my Australian tour and all the events, then they need to go to another website, which is Dr. Sherill Sellman. And Sherill is Sherrill, Sellman.com. And it lists my whole itinerary and also bookings online. And then you get access to all the other information. And I do encourage people to go, just go, because if nothing else, you'll be able to I'll be able to send to you those weekly What Women Must Know radio shows. And they are great educational programs that empower everyone.
Yeah. Empowering and inspirational and very informative. Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sherill. Look forward to seeing you in a couple of weeks. And I hope we can put on a good show for you.
So I really look forward to it. I hope we inspire lots of people to show up, because I really promise everyone that their lives will be different by coming along and what they learn.
Yeah,
So
people are
great
going to
to
get,
have
yeah,
opportunities. So thank you, Narelle. Thank you for zooming in today. This is a great format. I so appreciate initiating it, and it's nice to see everybody there. So thank you all for coming, being on the call today, wherever you are in the world. It's been fun.
Yes. Yeah, well, we've got Canada, America, we've got the States, we've got, and all over Australia as well. So good stuff.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you, everyone, and be in touch soon. And see you soon, Cheryl.
Thank you, Narelle. Bye all.
Bye-bye.